Hi, I'm Garrison Webster, and I'll be looking at the misogynistic ideology present in hip-hop music. I will be magnifying this issue through the historical, cultural, and artistic lens. First, you may ask yourself, what is misogyny? Misogyny is the act of conducting prejudice against women. The hip-hop industry has created a false perception of women in America. Like Joe Hill, an American street artist who creates pavement artwork, the views of women can be looked at through the hip-hop's perspective. This image that hip-hop has created for women has drastically affected on how they are treated and viewed every day in America. This has then led me to my research question. Could the way women are treated in 21st century America be a result of the misogynistic philosophy hip-hop has produced? To reflect this question, I've conducted the following thesis statement. Hip-hop has created a false perception and image of the modern-day American woman. The historical, cultural, and artistic elements of hip-hop have created this brutal ideology. The history of hip-hop music and the evolution of which it transformed confirms the presence of misogyny in hip-hop music. Hip-hop originally created originally created in the Bronx, New York. In 1970, the world was roaring about hip-hop music, and especially in the Bronx. While often present with most ideas, the new generation transformed that original idea of disco into something truly revolutionary. DJ Kool Herc, often known as the father of hip-hop music, he would often use the technique of DJ looping to create what we know today as DJ and hip-hop beats. The Sugar Hill Gang, a hip-hop group based out of the Bronx, debuted their album and their first hit, Rapper's Delight. What began with lyrics to excite an audience eventually molded into misogynistic lyrics we know today. The rap group NWA was created based out of Compton, Los Angeles. The NWA consisted of 7 young African-American rappers that took the stage presenting something different to the hip-hop scene. Their first track, Panic Zone, that they released, first started the gangster rap trend. Present in their music was gruesome lyrics often referring to women as suggestive names. This influenced many others to take part of lyrics that demean women. According to Dolores Tucker, a women's rights activist and anti-rap crusader during the 1990s, she quotes, "The pimps in the entertainment industry who distribute gangster rap are major contributions to the reason that the African-American community is corrupt." Kumar Devarajan, professor at Wesley College, agrees with this statement by professing her concerns for African-American women of America. She quotes, "Strong black women are becoming objectified due to this music." Due to the occurrence of hip-hop artists using misogynistic lyrics, African-American women are being treated differently in the real world. The presence of misleading themes in hip-hop revolving around women can be linked to the culture of African-Americans, originally Afro-Americans, the creators of hip-hop music. It is common to see African-Americans looking up to those who have made it in the hip-hop industry. Paul Gilroy, an African-American historian and author of the book The Black Atlantic, speaks in his publication about the African-American youth. He quotes, "Due to absent figures of color in highly white saturated fields, black boys and girls tend to look up to those who are at the top, which is often athletes and musical artists," end quote. Gilroy perfectly explains why there is such a large percentage of African Americans in the hip-hop industry. In comparison, a Caucasian child might look up to those who are in a Caucasian-dominated field, such as astronomy, art, and literature, and such as medicine and law. Jerry Heller, past manager for Death Row Records, explains in an interview with Ben Westhoff, a hip-hop historian. He quotes, "These boys," referring to his artists in which he manages, "come from a rough life. They want a better life for themselves and for their family." He then explains later in the interview that this is the only reason, and this is the only way out. You can put both of these sources hand in hand. Due to the absence of people of color in white-dominated fields, many young African Americans tend to look up to those who are at the top, which is often artists and hip-hop. The misogynistic ideology towards African American women will continue if this does not change. Pardon me. The hip-hop industry can portray women in such a misleading manner through forms of graphical art as well. The way that African-American women are shown through graffiti, music videos, and other forms of visuals can create a false perception of what African-American women really are. Hip-hop is not only music. Embedded in the article mentioned before, 3D pavement art by Joe Hill, art pieces are shown on walkways and sidewalks. These art pieces are visually mesmerizing due to the fact that they create a false perception of what reality really is. When you look at them a certain way, you can connect this source to women in hip-hop. Someone who has been exposed to many aspects of hip-hop can become accustomed to the misogynistic ideology oftenly used. When you look at women a certain way using the hip-hop's perspective, they appear useless, gross, and untrustworthy. When looking at women through someone that is not accustomed to the misogynistic ideology used in hip-hop music, they appear beautiful, strong, and loyal. Terry Adams, a hip-hop historian, explains in his article, "The words have changed, but the ideology remains the same." That specifically African-American women, their image has been changed due to gangster rap. He continues on to argue, quote, "Today's youth cannot distinguish the difference between women portrayed in rap music videos and women in everyday living. The past decade there has been an uprise of hip-hop music and videos for hip-hop. World-renowned singer Drake has been confronted by the women's rights movement and other organizations for his video Hotline Bling. This video contains mostly dancing and having fun with no guns of any kind. Then we do skip to a scene in which Drake proceeds to lift up a woman and sexually grope her. Drake has been able to do this with ease. This allows the 1.4 billion viewers of this video to grasp the ideology that this is okay. With all this said, the continuation of misogyny in hip-hop music culture will continue for years to come unless we act upon this issue. This issue has already been in communication by many organizations across the country, such as the Women's Rights Movement and Delta Women. Both of these groups have discussed the possibility of a protest march taking place against degrading hip-hop music. Dolores Tucker has also spoken out about this issue firsthand in many conducted speeches. She's received tremendous backlash from the hip-hop community. There are multiple solutions, I believe, that could help this issue. To start, the solution will take a very long time to see a result. Previously mentioned in my presentation, if there were to be an increase of African Americans in typically white-dominated fields, less African Americans will feel obligated to take part in misogynistic rap for a career. For this to happen, there needs to be more African American teachers in America. According to the Pew Research Center, in 2011, there was 84% of teachers were Caucasian. Another possible solution is to confront the FCC, which then regulates the music industry's rules and radio broadcasts. In a petition or mass letter we can send, this may change the law and eliminate some of the discriminatory lyrics used every day. Obviously, there's a limitation to these solutions. This will take vast time to see a change, and vast time to see a change for the African American teachers to rise. In order for this to change, the law by the FCC, this may cause people to feel this violates the freedom of speech rights. With all of this said, we continue to witness objectifying values hip-hop has given our women of America. This has greatly altered the image of African American and women of America for the worse.
Okay, Garrison, I'd like to ask, what information did you need before you started your research, and then how did that shape your research?
Right. So information I really needed to need was kind of background of hip-hop music itself. I grew up with hip-hop music because my dad is very influential on music. He taught me everything I know about music, and that kind of pushed me towards this direction of taking this project here. So what I needed to know first was the history, I believe. So that's what one of my lenses was, the historical. That's why I kind of investigated on that side of the route. That's why having Ben Westhoff's story and collection of interviews, which he interviewed many hip-hop historians, many hip-hop artists, and many first-hand people who kind of started the revolution, kind of helped my points across. With his points, he interviewed people like Biggie, who is not with us anymore, Tupac, and other kind of godfathers of the music industry in this, which kind of helped me grasp the background knowledge of this.
Okay, thanks. And then second, what additional questions emerged from your research? Why are those questions important?
Right, okay, so some of the questions I thought were kind of interesting and needed to be asked were like, how is this still happening today even though hip-hop has been happening for over 40 years? Like, we still see artists today using misogynistic lyrics. And this is because not many have really acted upon this. In the past, we saw Dolores Tucker taking a stance on this in conducted speeches. She truly made some progress, but much of it was denied by the hip-hop industry. We need a very large amount of people to take place and to go against this issue and sign a petition, which I mentioned in my solutions. I think that would help very much so into causing and solving this issue.
Okay, thank you.